Well, good day and welcome to another segment of Fly Fishing Pass It On. Today we're going to talk about why we tie our own flies. It's always a great question. I have a lot of anglers that have bought flies from me over the years, and good anglers and so forth that just buy what they need and they go fish, and that's fine. They haven't taken up the hobby of fly tying. I guess we call it a hobby, if you will. It's a great pastime. Keeps me engaged in thinking about fly fishing. I enjoy fly fishing a lot, but it keeps me always engaged in the sport, even sitting at my vise. Now, there's a lot of advantages of tying your own flies. I mean, if you ask 10 people, there's probably half of them going to say, well, I tie my own flies because it's a lot cheaper. It can be if you can control your spending habits, but there's a lot of different materials out there. There's no end to it. And so in that case, it does kind of become a hobby. It's something that you want to create with your own hands. Get the satisfaction of catching a fish with your own flies is probably as great a reward as there is. Or handing a few of your buddies some flies that you tied and they're catching a lot of fish on them. It's very rewarding. Another main factor for tying your own flies, in my opinion, is this. You can select the proper hooks. You can buy better hooks than sometimes that are available commercially. There's some really good flies available at some of these shops and whatever. I'm not saying what we tie off our vices are better than what they're selling in the store. Not always, but some cases the hooks are a little cheaper because they're mass produced. Now, for example, when I started steelheading, I had lots of fly patterns. I really enjoyed tying those salmon steelhead flies. That was my first trip up, and I pack a lot of flies and that for me, my wife Diane, and friends and whatever. And I enjoyed it. Tying's very therapeutic for me. But I learned a hard lesson. I tied on a hook that wasn't as sharp as I'd like, and I missed a lot of hookups because of it. I was getting fish spitting me off. So when I was up there, I had a couple of guys that lived in that area, and they kind of starting out or whatever else. So at the end of the trip, we were over having dinner at their place and having a visit, and said, "You guys need some flies?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "Well, here you go." And I just dumped what I had on top of the table and pretty much filled the table. It was an overwhelming amount of flies. And they started picking them out, and I said, "No, you can have them all." And they couldn't believe it. But my lesson learned there was, I went back home and I tied the same patterns. I knew the patterns were working, and what I had was about right, but I tied them on the best hooks I could get. Because when I'm dealing with hard mouth fish, being in steelhead or salmon or saltwater species, you want to make sure you have it tied on a really good hook, because it doesn't take any longer to tie on a real good hook than it does an inferior brand. Some of them are tempered, or they don't have the points that are as good as other ones. So lots of different brands out there, and everybody has their favorites and what have you. Even rainbow trout. We had trophy trout lakes, and when you get fish that are over 10 pounds, their mouths are hard, and you better have something that'll penetrate them real easy, and they'll stick and they will not bend. I've seen a lot of hooks that are not tempered properly, and they'll bend out. They're too soft. They're fine with these little, smaller fish or certain situations or whatever. And if you're learning how to tie, I mean, learn to tie on some more inexpensive ones. I wouldn't worry about that too much, but the quality of your materials you can regulate, and you can buy whatever quality you want and what you can afford. It's just like fly fishing. You don't have to go out and buy a $1,400 fly rod to learn how to fly fish or catch fish. There's a lot of really nice entry-level rods out now that are in the $100, $150 range that'll work just fine. I sold a lot of those TFO lefted crate 9-foot 6 weights. We sold tons of them, and there's guys still fishing them today. They are good rods, And so you buy something decent, and there's a lot of product out there that is available at modest pricing, and so that's good. Try to simplify things down where you can get out on the water. One of the things that I want to convey to you the most is be observant when you're fishing or tying flies. The same thing can be true at your vise. You want flies that'll move and breathe. Movement means life, and life means food. You'll target the dark side of a fish, his brain, and he will want to eat that. You'll see a lot of times fish that'll refuse flies. They know, they see a lot of food going by them. They know if it's a stick or whatever it is after they kind of come up out of their lie to have a look at a fly coming over, and they'll refuse it for many different reasons. So there's flies that really work, and there's flies that sometimes work. But you want something that's imitative, also has some attraction and movement. Sometimes you can get all three of those in one pattern. There's so many different types of insects and food sources that we're trying to imitate. We can have a fly that basically, it looks so good it should crawl right off the vise. It looks so alive, realistic patterns, and I really enjoy seeing some of those tied. Some people spend a lot of time doing it. It's a work of art. But you can take an exact pattern like that. If it's not fished properly, the fish won't eat it either. So it's a combination of fly presentation, the zone you're in, and how you present the fly to the fish. You can have a perfect dry fly, but if you're getting any kind of a drag, micro drag or anything, they won't eat it. They'll turn on. These fish are smart. They see that food coming at the right speed and all day. They know when it's a fake. And there'll be days where you can tie anything on, you can throw it over, you can just close your eyes and catch fish. It's stupid good. But those days are not abundant. Most of the time, you're going to have to work for your fish. You're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to learn how to get the right drifts, the right presentation. As old friend of mine, Danny Record, said, a properly presented fly will always outfish the right fly every time. So make sure your fly presentation is right too. So as you study the fly tying, make sure you're doing the same study and deep dive into how the pattern is fished. I've given a lot of flies away to people over the years, and I enjoy doing that, and I like to see them catching fish or help them out. Maybe they don't have enough flies, whatever the case may be. That's a very rewarding part, and I like helping people that way. But I was really surprised at how many times you'll hand a fly to someone, and the first question I'll ask you, what fly are you using? So you hand them the fly. They don't ask the most obvious and the best question. A couple of years ago, I met a gentleman, and I got to fish with him on his last day he fished, and he was 94. Very good angler, taught me a lot. He was a great guy. I only got to meet him a few times. And he wanted a box of flies that I had donated and for a club, and I said, sure, I'll get you some, and I built him a nice box like that too. But anyway, we're tying or fishing a few times, and I handed him a fly, and he asked the question, the right question: how do you fish it? So you can have the right fly, but the most important question is, how do you fish it? That's the key right there. Becoming a mediocre or a decent angler or whatever, and becoming a very good angler. And the thing is, understand, when you start catching fish, make sure it's mindset of yours to know where you're fishing it. Like I've asked this question many times too. How'd you make out? Oh, I did really good. What were you using? Well, I used it that. You need to know where you're fishing, how deep you're fishing, how the retrieve was, how the drift, whatever the case may be. Those conditions are duplicated. You will catch fish after fish after fish. But throwing the same fly out there and the techniques change, you won't be consistent. And weather and all that changes every day anyway. So we have to adapt. So be very observant. And when you're tying your flies on your vise, sometimes you'll want a fly that you can, now you tying your own flies, you can change by just changing the color of the rib material, for example, or maybe put a little pearl flash over the back, or a pearl rib, or some of these new materials with UV or translucency and so forth. We can incorporate them in some of these good old patterns in some way, and you'll have a pattern that'll really, really produce. So that is why we tie our own flies, why we like our own fishing. And I just wanted to get that out there to you. And I do want to thank you I thank you so much for being part of the channel. And please reach out with any comments or suggestions or any content you'd like to see. And even maybe we can do some live stream stuff. I don't mind doing that. Where if you have some specific questions, I can demonstrate it for you live. I'll do what I can to help you, because I sure had a lot of good guys up and down the road that I learned from, and they were very eager to help and share with me. And I also learned a lot from books and videos. And now, I mean, there's more available now with websites and social media, YouTube channels, whatever. There's getting talent from all over the globe right at our fingertips. So there's never been more information out there to be shared. And so I really want to wish you all the best with your fly tying and fly fishing journey. And I hope this helps you in some little way to become a better angler, and make sure you conserve the waters, and some good etiquette. There's some good friends out there fishing. You might not have met them yet, but there's some really good friends on the water that you'll get a chance to meet. So all the best to you. Have a great fishing season. We'll see you on the water.
Thanks for watching Brent's fly fishing instructional series. He can be found on Brent's YouTube channel and Sport Fishing on the Fly.